So this is the code that we had written in past, where we were using console.writeLine. Now we want to change it to use log4net. So first thing that we will do is we'll add a reference to log4net in our project. So we'll go to manage Nugget packages, and here we will be searching for log4net, and it finds and gives us the log4net here. So let's install that as part of our framework. So we can see the latest version available is 2.0.5. So with that, we have got the log4net framework added as a reference to our project. Now in order to use log4net, we have to do 3 steps. First step is configure log4net. We should be telling log4net what kind of logs we are looking for. Then we should be creating a logger. That is the second step, and after that we are ready to write logs in our tests, which is kind of replacing the console.writeLine with the logger messages. Now the very easy way to configure log4net is, as we already talked about, log4net is very configurable logger. So easiest way to configure is using basic configurator. Basic configurator.configure. Now in order to use basic configurator, we need to fix the reference. We need to put a using statement log4net.config. So basic configurator.configure is the function we will call. So this will create the very basic configuration for log4net logger. Next, what we need to do is we need to create the logger object. Now we will be using log manager, and log manager is also a class in log4net, and we'll say get logger, and we will tell the name of the logger. So there are 2 overloads available. We can create loggers based on the type. Now this is important, so right now we'll use type of program. This is our file name, that is what we are going to use. So let's see what Log4J log manager returns to us. So if we go and take a look at this functions documentation, it returns us an ilog. So this we can say is our logger. Also we have got our logger. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace all my console.write lines with logger.info. So let's put logger.debug. The information that is very basic, we'll put that as logger.debug. Then here we will say, okay, this is also logger.debug, this is also logger.debug. Here we are going to find element and we are clicking. So here we will say this is logger.info. We'll talk about what each of these methods is and what is the difference between them. And here we will say logger.info. So we have used 2 methods of logger, info, and okay, this also was there. This also, let's say logger.debug. Now we have changed our logger from console to the log4net logger object, and we saw it was pretty easy by just adding 2 extra steps. Okay, so let me put that here. Now if we do, okay, here let me write use info or debug functions. So let's run our test and see what has changed when we modified the code from the previous one, which was logging to console, to log4net based log. So now our test has run. It will click contact and it will exit. Now if we take a look at our logs, so these logs are telling us that the first log that we see over here, it is coming, it's a debug log. It is coming from program file which says launch the browser. Navigated, these do not have any file name with them. So kind of it is very easy for us to differentiate that these are not the logs written by us, these are coming from some other source. Now if we are analyzing this kind of file, we can simply put a filter, or we can do a find on our file name, and we can segregate what are our logs and what are the logs coming from the framework. So this is giving us the first great flexibility that we do not have to worry about filtering our logs separately. Well, so far we have achieved what we could achieve using console.writeLine, but this method is really powerful. We'll talk about that in upcoming modules. The reason we say this is powerful is we will see how at runtime we can configure what level of logs we want to see, so we can filter out debug log very easily, so we can come to a level of minimal logging if we want to. Second, we can see right now this logger is logging onto console because we have used the basic configurator, but going forward when we use an advanced configurators, we will see that we will have the freedom to write these logs into various types of destinations. It can be a text file, it can be a database, it can be HTML file. There are a lot of appenders, a lot of sources, destinations that Log4j supports. So all that freedom and flexibility we are going to see in the next set of video tutorials, and this is where we stop right now. We have understood what Log4j is, what is the benefit of using, and why we should stay away from using console.writeLine. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next part.